Hello, hello, hello. It's good to see you all. Welcome back to my Friday afternoon live stream. I am Dr. Julie Allig, aka the Data Diva, and I'm here today to talk about getting on your graphing groove. So, first off, go ahead and for the people who are watching live, um, drop a comment and tell us where you are joining us from. I'd love to see who some of my viewers are. And if you're catching this on replay, I'd still love to know. So drop something in the comments. So today I'm talking about getting on your graphing groove. And typically I tend to shy away from talking about the more complex topics in business analytics and data analytics, usually because I don't want to scare people off. I mean, honestly, talking to people about all the gold mine of information and stories that's in their business's data and the ways that we can slice and dice it to make all kinds of information available and usable to actually take action. I start talking about that and their eyes start glazing over. So usually I don't, but I'm reminded that sometimes it's the complex topic or the little more advanced, maybe not completely complex. It's a little more advanced topic that really sparks your interest and gives you kind of that kick in the seat of your pants inspiration to get over the hump, get over that inertia, to start learning something, learning those foundational skills so that you can build those up to the more complex skills. And so when I talk about visualizing your business data, what I tend to talk about is, if you've heard me talk before, the three types, bar graph, scatterplot, line graph. And I have a quick, I've got a new setup here. I'm not sure how I'm liking it, so we'll see. Let me see if I can present. Yeah, I should be able to share my screen. Bum, bum, bum. There we go. And is StreamYard gonna let me share? For some reason, it does not want to let me share. So I will just go back to saying that, yeah, bar chart, line graph, scatter plot. And that's usually what I talk about as kind of being the on-ramp to doing any kind of graphing and everything, because those are the three types of visualizations or graphs and charts, right? Visualizations that the human brain perceives the most accurately. There's been research done on this, and those are the ones that are the best way for you to communicate your ideas to your audience. They're not as initially confusing to your audience, and they are not as demanding of their cognitive capacity like others. Today, I want to talk about a couple of groovy charts and diagrams that are really powerful in uncovering your business's story and in communicating it. And frankly, they're fun. They're fun to design and they can be really creative. So let me check the comments real quick. Oh, we've got Michelle from NYC. It's good to see you. Hi. We haven't had a chance to talk in a while. So there we go. And as I'm going through this, go ahead and if you've got any questions about what I'm talking about, just in the comments, go ahead and add a comment and just put a Q in front of it. That'll make it a lot easier for me to see the questions, and I won't mix them up as much with the comments. All right. So, why, let's just start. Honestly, I think I'm probably one of the few data analysts, data scientists, who the very first thing they do when they start looking at data is to draw a picture. I don't know about you, but when I look at a spreadsheet, I can't make a whole lot out of it. I can't make a lot of sense just out of a plain old spreadsheet. One of the very first times I was analyzing data, and this goes back years and years to graduate school, and I was working with one professor, and she was doing some research, and she hired me to be able to help her with that research. And we had a whole slew of new variables to look at, and I thought she was just going to hand me over the thumb drive because it was that long ago. Like, we did not have cloud. I mean, we had servers and all, but usually we just passed data sets to everyone on thumb drives. And she didn't hand me a thumb drive. She handed me a big thing of a big roll of paper and colored pencils. And she said, go generate some frequencies for these, and I want you to draw them. And so she literally had me start with just pen and paper, with colored pencils and paper, and drawing out. And I'll tell you, it took a while. I am not the most artistic person, so you can imagine what they looked like. But, it took a while, but it was a really good way to learn my data set, to really learn it. And so starting way back then, ever since then, I've just been one of those people who I can't analyze anything without drawing pictures. Now, today, I do not have the time to go and draw with colored pencils or colored pens or anything. But that same strategy still holds today. And so playing around with data is the way that gets me curious, and it gets me asking questions. And so the one visualization I wanted to spend some time about today are Sankey diagrams. And you've probably seen them. You might not know what they're called, but Sankey diagrams are very straightforward. What does a Sankey diagram do? It illustrates the flow within a system. There you go. So let's take a couple of looks, and everyone cross your fingers that StreamYard lets me do this. There we go. I'm going to turn that a little bit. You can still see me. Perfect. And let me see. All right. This is the one. Okay. I'm going to take that banner down so y'all can actually see what I am talking about as we go through this, because so much of it is visual. But here's an example of horizontal Sankey diagram, right? So like I said, you've probably seen these before. And this one in particular is from the Flurlagi twins. So in case you aren't a Tableau aficionado or anything, there are these two gentlemen, Ken and, I forget his brother's name. Ken and something Flerlog. They're twins, and they do these awesome visualizations and everything. They use Tableau, but I mean, you can look at, you can use other pieces of software. They just happen to be doing that. So this is a basic one. So here, what we're talking about is, remember that definition I gave you, that a Sankey diagram illustrates the flow within a system. It illustrates flow. So here we've got source A, and by what they've done is they've done some dynamic actions. And what you're able to see is these 3 lines, right, that go over. And you can see how many of them go over to target A, how many go to target B, and how many go to target C. Now, the nice thing is, in Sankey diagrams, the width, the thickness of the lines, that's the important thing, because the thicker means the more, whatever it is. In this case, they've got a total here from source A of 450, and they can tell you that 100 went to target A, 300 went to target B, and then 50 went to target C. So what you're able to do is you're able to show, again, that kind of dry, kind of abstract definition. You're able to show how things flow within a system, how they flow from one to another. It might be a state, it might be an institution or something. So you can also do these horizontal, and I like it. They also show that you can do these vertically too. And so this is the one, I mean, I love what happened? There we go. I love the shapes. I love the movement. And this makes it so much easier to start analyzing your data, doesn't it? This is fun. This is colorful. And wait till you see some of the other ones. Some of the other ones that I've dug up to share with you, they border on the artistic. They might be artistic. I mean, we could argue about that, but they're beautiful. And so why not have fun analyzing your data? And so the sorts of things like this are the sorts of things that like I said, I've usually shied away from, because they tend to be just a little more difficult, a little bit more complex. And so no more. So there you go. So when I was in higher ed, which most of you know, I spent a couple of decades on the administration side of higher ed, we used Sankey diagrams to look at what was going on with our students. And let me show you this one. So one of the questions that we were always really concerned with was figuring out how many of our students that we brought in actually graduated. So in a very basic sense, kind of what was the student success rate. And there were times when, or certain points or milestones across, the lifetime of a student at your particular institution, where they would tend to drop off. And so one of the things I was doing was looking at, why do they drop off? When do they drop off? And is there anything we could do to keep them? Because the studies show that a lot of students transfer, a lot of students drop out and never get their degrees. And so we were all about helping our students to attain those degrees. So when you look at this, this is an example from Duke. And what this is usually, so here with the table, this is usually how the data comes across, right? So you've got students who come in having declared these majors, broadly speaking. So a STEM major, nursing, humanities, this is all just fake data, right? Social sciences and undeclared. So year one, you've got this number of students in each of those majors. By year two, you've got down to here, and year three, you've got to here. So this is kind of hard for me to make sense of. In more formal terms, we could say the cognitive load is quite high. How are we making sense of this table? What's the story going on here? It's factual, it's accurate, but it's not communicating very well. So here is the sort of thing that we would do. We would make a Sankey diagram. And so we would say, okay, these 100 undeclared students, where did they end up, right? Only 20 of them remained undeclared, right? Social sciences, where did they go? Humanities, where did they go? Nursing, where did they go? And so that way we were able to track students and see where they were going throughout. This is another that this is a group down at Eastern Carolina University. They gave this presentation. It is Hanyan Wang, Beverly King, and Ying Zhou at Eastern Carolina University. Again, student success conference. So trying to figure out ways to enhance and understand student success. And I just loved the way that and I will put links to all these down below afterwards if y'all want to take a look at these. But I wanted to give them a shout out because this is a really nice analysis that they did. So look here. So for the fall 2010 cohort, right, they had 109 engineering students or students saying that they were going to be engineers. By the time they graduated, what was their major of graduation, right? So for example, 109 started out saying they were going to be engineers. Only 30 of them actually graduated from that same institution with a degree in engineering. Look at all these other majors that they transferred out into and graduated in. And these are just the students that stayed at their institution and graduated. Here, they're still enrolled. So this is graduating within 6 years, which is a federal standard. Look at this, though. Of those 109, there are 44 that are not enrolled at Eastern Carolina University. Where are they? Well, what they did is they used the National Student Clearinghouse, and they went through and found where they transferred to and whether or not they graduated. So you can see when you're talking about things like student success, if you're losing students, you can see at what point in their journey you're losing them and where you're losing them to. Maybe, let's see, Pitt Community College. Sounds to me like they didn't want to get a bachelor's degree after all. They wanted to get an associate's degree. North Carolina State University. Maybe that institution offered a major that Eastern Carolina University didn't offer. And so they only found that out once they were already there. And so they transferred over. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. This movement and everything, and you can see those proportions also. And so what percentage of engineers graduated as engineers? These incoming students who said they were going to be engineers actually ended up going to Pitt Community College and graduating. And so it's a nice way of showing movement and showing, what's the word I want to say? Showing amounts and showing without having to do a table of percentages or something like that. So you are probably saying, okay, Jules, this is all great. This is all nice. We are not in higher education. We are running businesses. We are working at businesses. How does this have anything to do? Well, my friend, take this concept and let's apply it to something like the customer journey. Or let's apply it to something like, if it lets me, let me move my thing again and I'll see. Okay, let's cross our fingers that it lets me. There we go. All right. How about for looking to see which search terms customers are using on your online website and how those search terms are related to purchases or other kinds of actions that your customers might take. So I found this, it's at empathy.co, and the woman who put this together, her name is Lucia de Espona. And again, I'll definitely credit her with this. This is really interesting. So here, again, what we're looking at is a Sankey diagram. Let me see if I can embiggen this a little bit. There we go. So what she did is, and she explains it down here, the Sankey diagram for the term skirt or falda. The terms next to the larger green rectangles are good fits for autocomplete terms. And the terms next to the pink are good fits for related product suggestions. So see, if people look at falda mini, that will be good to be for an autocomplete, right, on this company's website, versus falda. This might be like those recommendations or other customers like who looked at falda, at this skirt, bought this, right, that you see down at the bottom or along in one of the gutters on those web pages. And so you can see that by looking here. So falda autocomplete to falda mini, and then we can trace that out. It's a little hard to do with this static version. I'm sure she has a more dynamic version that'll highlight the strings and everything, just like we saw in that first example. But you can see the different terms and everything. And then you can be looking to see what the outcome is. Do the customers purchase? Do they put things in a cart and just abandon it? Do they click off of the website? So it's that sort of, so again, looking at the flow within a system, which is that kind of stale, dry, boring definition we started with. This system is on an online retailer's website and customers looking for skirts. So how can we optimize showing them what we think they're going to like? How can we optimize actually having them put it into the cart and not abandon it, but actually purchase? And so these steps along the customer journey are perfect for a Sankey diagram. And so I wanted also to show you all. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. All right, and doesn't look like I've got any questions or anything, so that's good. So I wanted to show you all, to get your creative wheels spinning, a couple of examples of websites where they've got some really, really interesting and thought-provoking Sankey diagrams, which again, you might think they're kind of boring, kind of dry. What the heck is a Sankey diagram, Julie? Are you even pronouncing it correctly? It's a Friday afternoon. I sure hope I am, but please let me know if you think I'm not. The important thing is this is a great tool and it's fun and colorful. And like I said, with some of these I'm going to show you, it really does border on the artistic. So let's take a look. So this one company that I love is called Ferdio. Yes, Ferdio. They are a infographic design agency in Denmark, in Copenhagen. They do some really good stuff, but what they also have is this website that's got basically an encyclopedia of all types of data visualization examples. And they kind of talk about it a little bit, and then they give you examples of them in the wild. So let me show you that. I love Ferdio. I don't know them. I'm certainly not an affiliate or anything. So here we go. Okay. Let me go back here. Here we go. And I will just check that y'all can see this. Yep, looks like you can. Good. Okay, so Ferdio. What they've got is, now I've lost it. They've got, like I said, this catalog or encyclopedia of all different kinds of visuals. They've got the bar chart, right? They've got the bar chart, they've got the line chart, they've got the scatter plot. But if that's all you think you can do, if that's what you think you're limited to, take a look at this. This is, again, Sankey diagrams. They've got here line graphs, radial bar charts. It's awesome. So if you really want to get those creative wheels going, check out Ferdio. Their URL for this is datavizproject.com. But I bet if you Googled Ferdio, you'd probably find it. Up here, they have a page on Sankey diagrams. And again, you can take a look and you can start seeing just some that they have found in the wild. So for example, a power grid. So here, notice in those first, that first viz that I shared with you, you had a horizontal Sankey, and then you also had a vertical one, right? So here's a vertical one. So this is interesting because we start up here at the top. So it's nice. It's electricity in the local plants, and then what they've imported from the mainland, right? So you get those two streams coming together, and then where's it go? So that's interesting. I like that. You've also got, well, you've got several here. The other thing, just to give them a pitch, this is really cool also. One data set, 100 visualizations. Check that out. They took one little data set, and boy, is it small. And they visualized it 100 different ways and told 100 different stories with it. So very interesting. Actually, maybe I'll talk about that in one of our future ones. Okay, so another one I wanted to show you is, let's see. Bum, bum, bum. Not those. Yeah, let me find it for you real quick. This is, what I wanted to show you is Nathan Yau's. And you might recognize that name. He's the author of Flowing Data. And here we go, because it was on the wrong screen. There you go. Here we go. Now this one, I like this one because it's just a little whimsical, shall we say. So this is Nathan Yau's take on the leftovers of Thanksgiving dinner and what happened to them all. And, you know, we all have Thanksgiving. He's looking specifically at turkey here, right? So I just thought this was a fun way of actually looking at your data. Thanksgiving turkey eaten or leftovers, eaten for enjoyment or out of obligation, right? Thanksgiving turkey leftovers, a leftover Thanksgiving plate, a sandwich, turkey stock, recipes, given to others, food hacks. There you go. Anyway, another idea for, again, that basic concept of what a Sankey diagram is good for, and the flow between different parts of a system, and how that whole, all of whatever they had left over for turkey, how that whole gets broken down. There's another one I wanted to share with you. And this one is from someone who I just found on Instagram. And I found her a couple of days ago. And I really like the kind of work she's doing. So let me find her. You know what? I can't find her, but I'm going to show you when I talk about it starting to bleed over into, gosh, what could be considered just art and really beautiful. Just consider something like this and see whether or not you agree with me. But I think that it's starting to get there. Something like this. Now, again, this, I mean, if I put on my data analysis hat, my hat of teaching data visualization and that sort of thing, I would have a lot to say about this diagram that we see here, right? I'm not going to say it because I'm looking at it and I think it's really intriguing. It's a whole lot of data, and it's one visual that is synthesizing a whole lot of data. I'm not quite sure what it means because I don't know what the colors correspond to and this and that. But, you know, you sit back and you look at this and it's like, wow, this is cool. And this is the sort of thing, the kind of picture. Now, you might not be able to do this with your data. There just might not be enough. You might not have any need to. But, I mean, this is the sort of thing that really starts grabbing attention and raising questions. And I think that's when we make these visuals of our data, of our numbers in our businesses, I think that's the important thing, because we're never going to really get to the bottom of what is going on unless we start asking questions. And so I think visuals are, and especially these kind of visuals, are a great way to kickstart your questions. Now, for the bad news. So I can hear your next question. And you're saying, okay, how do I do this? I would love to do this. I want to get my hands dirty. So that's the thing. You can't, you need some, there are Sankey diagram generators out there on the web. There are a few that are free. There's a lot more you need to pay for. You can program these using Python and R. You can use Tableau. I'm pretty sure you can use Power BI. But you hear what I'm not saying. I'm not sure how you do this in Microsoft Excel. I'm going to look into it, and I'll definitely let y'all know if there's a way to do it. I mean, there's probably a way, but it's probably you're probably going to have to hack it somehow. I don't think it's going to be terribly simple, although I hope I'm wrong. So the bad news is, yeah, you do need some software that's a little more advanced. Tableau is not that advanced. Power BI is not that advanced. Python and R, yeah, you need to be programming. And so those are probably not tools you're going to use. But as far as Sankeys go, look at the stories that you can start telling. Look at, especially with like a customer journey or keywords on a website, students and where they end up transferring to, that sort of thing. It can really uncover patterns that you never quite knew were there. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm always saying, draw pictures. And that's one of the reasons why you hear me talk about how important it is to draw pictures and to keep asking questions and also have fun, because looking at your numbers should be fun. And honestly, I think it's really fun to do a lot of these. Even me, I like doing bar charts. I like doing scatter plots. You guys can see kind of behind me over my shoulder. Those are just a few of the pens and the colored pens and pencils and all that I have. I've got about 9 or 10 coffee mugs and pencil holders full of colored pens and pencils. So I like being able to do that sort of thing. Not everyone does, but it certainly is fun to be able to make these, use different colors, and add, switch up the axis if it's horizontal, if it's vertical, and make an infographic out of it even. That would be fun too. Anyway, this is one way to make looking at your data a lot more fun. And I hope you've enjoyed my walkthrough of Sankey diagrams. Let me know what you think. Tell me in the comments if you have any questions or if there are sites that you know that are really good examples of this, so we can share that with other professionals out there. And until next week, go forth and analyze. See you later.